Welcome to the final scoop. I am your exceptionally adequate host, Robert Schinetsky, the supplement engineer. Joining me are the marginally acceptable cast of characters in Robert Samborsky, Apollon Nutrition, Lukasz, Rytkowski, Prometeus Intelligent Sports Technology, Shane Smith, Stack 3D, and TJ Gonen, Fitness Deal News. Welcome, my friends. We are back at it again. How are each of you doing?
Well, good.
I'm
Just
good.
someone slap Robert and wake him up. Just slap the shit out of him.
So for the listeners out there, we're going to be experimenting with some format things this week, and going forward, we think it'd be a little bit better way for you to get to know us. So we're going to break this first segment open with a get to know you featuring the one and only TJ of Fitness Deal News. So listen, people.
Listen. Yeah. So. So I was born in Israel, as most of you know. It was a long fucking time ago, though. It's was old. Moved to the US about 11 years ago, and I was married, 3 kids. Most of you don't know, but my older kid is probably older than 90% of the FDN followers, because my firstborn is almost 24 now. So yeah. His second year in college, finished the army, actually served in the army in Israel, then he's now in college, 24. Yeah, I have 2 more boys. 2 of them, you know, they've been on reviews. Gilad, obviously, the magnificent Gilad, the younger one, the curly hair, it's very hard to forget. So yeah, so 3 boys, married for a long time, obviously, clearly been married for a long time. Started my career in tech. I'm still in tech. That's what I've been doing. Israel is very much a tech country, right? Israel is sort of a mix of Istanbul and Silicon Valley. You get the food of Istanbul and the Silicon Valley part of tech. So I started my career in tech, and mostly around entrepreneurship. So I started 4 companies, 4 startups. First thing I did out of the army, I started a company. 4 companies, 2 were very successful. The recent one, December the 19th, we sold. Yeah, you can search my name. I'm not gonna. If you find it, you find it. But yeah, 2 of them we sold. 2 we actually closed. Life of entrepreneurship, right? 4, so 50%. That's life. And but it's always been a great adventure. I like building stuff, and the way that I got into fitness, I just started working out, and then a few years ago and that's the way that FDN started. I was working out. We moved to the States working out, and the US is very much very developed. We talked a bit about that, influencers and apparel and supplements and everything. So when we started moving to the States a few years after, I started getting into that supplement scene just as a user, right? And I was starting, and it was way less developed than it is now, right? 5, 6, 7 years ago. But I started, buying protein, buying pre-workouts. I used my first pre-workout, 6 years ago, 5. It's not relatively new. And then it was called bodybuilding supplements, right? It was all bodybuilding. It wasn't like today, it's everyone. Anyway, so I started buying stuff, and then I found, for most of us, or all of us, and definitely a lot of the people who are listening, this is way more than training, so it's a lifestyle. It's a thing. You wake up in the morning, that's what you do. I relate a lot of what I do in business to the fitness lifestyle. You go beyond pain. You go to failure. You wake up and do shit and you grind even if you're tired. You don't skip leg day. You don't also skip a meeting you don't want to be in. And so I really got into the lifestyle. So just like everyone probably that's watching this, I got into the lifestyle so hard. I found myself, the only thing I'm buying is literally fitness related. I wasn't buying anything that my wife would buy. Anything that's not fitness related, I would buy only shit fitness related. If I went online, I would buy a shirt. It would be a fitness shirt, and it would be gym clothing or some athletic apparel of some sort, and supplements. Obviously, I spent more money on protein and whatever than anything else. So we said, my wife and I, 5, 6, whenever we started FDN, I can't remember now, 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, said, It's crazy. There's all these deal sites around. People save shitloads of money on Macy's stuff and cabinets, and there's a lot of sites that give you deals, but there are deals of everything. I say, I look at these deals. 1 in 100 I give a shit about. The other 99 from Home Depot doing a promotion on some fucking faucet, I don't give a shit. Where the hell is the protein deal? Give me the protein deal. So we said, looked around. I said, shit, no one's doing it. Doesn't make any sense. So there's and people who watch this know you spend so much money on this stuff, and it's recurring. It's not like a one-off, you buy it and then you go. It's like consistently you buy it and then you buy again and then you buy again. So there's so much, people spend so much money, and there was no way to actually find a place that really made the effort of making life so much simpler and looking for stuff. So that's how we started FDN. And it's great to do something that you're passionate about, plus that keeps you busy, is the best gift ever. I was chatting yesterday on Instagram with one of our followers about this, and one of the best gifts is to do something you're passionate about. And I'm not taking that for granted. And it's both in my other stuff that we do around cybersecurity, which I'm passionate about. I like building stuff, but I can't see myself building things that I don't give a shit about. Like, it's only things that I give a shit about, and fitness is such a big part of my life. Not because I'm obviously huge, don't get me wrong, I'm huge. But other than that, I look like a girl. But
there are some rumors that you're just a stimhead and you don't actually lift, TJ. There are some rumors about that.
When I say to people that I go to work out, I actually take a free workout and I sit in the sofa and masturbate with some ghost review or something. So there's but anyway, how's that for a visual, people? Anyway, there's
we are already off the rails.
Yeah.
You're doing so well, like that whole intro.
It's funny because all of us are blushing except TJ.
Yeah, no, but maybe because it's true. No, but there's I think, but back to the passion. Everything, in life, you do things and you do them for a long time. And actually, a lot of the people here have their own business, and this shit is hard. It is so fucking hard. Every time someone comes to me, and in the tech business, when you do an exit, you can make a lot of money. So people get blinded by the 30 million, 40 million, 50 million. They get blinded by it. First, the statistics really suck. Start with that. It's true for every business. And the reason I'm bringing it up is that when people ask me, say, hey, man, I see all these numbers. I want to do my startup. And I say, why? No, because of the money. I said, man, 1, the statistics is against you. 2, that is the most fucked up reason to go into this that I could ever think about. Because the first time you're going to understand that the chances of you making money are actually lower than the chances of you losing money, you're going to break, because it's going to be fucking hard. So being passionate about what you do and liking it and is such an important part of being happy. So I was fortunate enough to do only things that obviously, even when you do things you like to do, life sucks sometimes. But at least as a starting point, do something you're passionate about. So Fitness Deal News for us is such a great thing, because I love fitness, right? For me, it's not about getting bigger. I'm also old as fuck. So it's not getting bigger, lifting heavier or whatever. It's mostly health, feeling good, having this 1 hour or 1.5 hours where I'm alone, just me and the music, Rob Bailey yelling at me that I'm nothing, that I'm a loser, that I need to focus and work harder and whatever. And everything I do during the day after that really relates to that. I think it's the same principles. It's really the same principles. So that's how I got to FDN. We've been doing this for 4 years, I think, 4.5 years. Started with just the site. Started really getting serious about the YouTube reviews maybe a couple of years ago, maybe a bit more, 3 years. Mostly because I think, again, you spend money on this shit, and most of the time you don't even know if it's good or bad. And labels are just really labels. You look at stuff, and we talk a lot about this, right? There's branding. It's so confusing. And the more there's stuff out there, it's theoretically better, but it's also more confusing. So we started with saying, hey, listen, we post deals on stuff, but they might not necessarily be on good shit. So let's see if we can help people. So that's how we started the YouTube. And YouTube is not a financial experience for us. We also don't charge for reviews or shit like that. So it's not but it's fun, even though it's a lot of work, as you know, it's really a lot of people don't get it. It's so much work goes into this shit. It's so annoying. And, but it's fun out there. It gives me a way to interact with people. It creates, it enhances the following, I think, or the experience with FDN. And also gives us an opportunity sometimes when there's really good opportunities to expose a deal to the audience. Then if we can have a chance to review it, I think it adds more value to the people who go over FDN. So yeah, so that's how I got to fitness. So I think, at the end of the day, for me, fitness is in fitness deal news, and we're gonna do. My wife and I were just talking. We're gonna do more stuff now on fitness related initiatives. For me, really, it's a passion that's measured by my ability to push myself to the limit in a single context, right? And this is what I like to do anyway. I used to say to my team now we just, like I said, was going through, Robert knows some of the background story, Samborsky, but it was really hard. There were some periods of time there which was really crazy. And I was telling my co-founders, I was saying, man, I know you go one more rep. I know you feel like throwing up, but we're not broken yet. And you go one more, and you go one more. And the next day, after you slept 3 hours, man, you wake up again and you go through it again. And if you fail, you fucking fail. If the bar breaks you down, the life bar, the company bar, the startup bar breaks you down. But you go and you try. So I think I live that as it's way more than just working out, getting buff, which is, again, obviously working really well for me. And it's more of a life choice. So anyway, so that's the background. Yeah.
Fantastic. There's a lot of unpack there, and I want to start with going back to your time in the Israeli military.
Yeah.
Going back, this might be like 50 years ago, so try to remember really hard. Okay. What were you physically active as a child, and how did your time in the military help ingrain that hardworking mindset, or did you already have that from the way your parents raised you?
Yeah, so I was raised like that. My dad worked 3 jobs. My dad didn't have any education or anything. He worked at the post office. He was a mailman in Israel. And but he woke up at 4 a.m. to deliver newspapers, went to the post office, and then worked as a waiter in the evening. That's how I grew up. And my mother was cleaning houses. I grew up in a super simple environment, but everyone around me worked really hard. But it was I had a great childhood, don't get me wrong. There was food on the table. We were modest. We grew up. We thought we had stuff. I can't remember missing anything, and it was a good environment. We're 5 siblings, and it was just a great environment. So the army, I didn't grow. We played basketball in school, and we played soccer in Israel, right? Europe, you play soccer, you play basketball. I was active. I was running around. There was no culture of lifting or stuff like that back then, right? We're talking in the early 20s, 1920, 1921. So I'm joking, but there was it wasn't a lifting mentality, but yeah, I was very active. The army, there's a program in Israel. It's actually says usually everybody serves, right? You go 18 to 21, you serve at least 3 years if you don't sign for more, if you're not an officer or stuff like that. I was part of a program. I actually went to college before the army. So I finished my engineering degree before the army, and then I served. So I served in the Israeli Intelligence Corps. I served in the Israeli version of the NSA. So I was not physically active. I did my officer's course and stuff like that. So yeah, you run, you do all that stuff. Yeah. But I wasn't my brain was very physically active during my service rather than my body. And it was an amazing experience. It's an amazing experience to throw kids in these crazy ass environments where you have to do stuff. And that's what people don't. I mean, I think people know, but it's very hard to understand. The U.S. Army, which is amazing, is professionals. The Israeli Army, you take these 18 years old kids and you throw them in the middle of survival mode. This is not let's protect them, this place from 10,000 miles away. You throw these 18 years old kids in survival mode. And if you do what I used to do and other people who do it better than me probably, you're like dealing with shit that is cutting edge freaking technology and life, and life depends on that. And you throw them in this experience. It's crazy. I mean, looking back and knowing like the type of people that were around me, you say, oh my God, are you giving these kids this responsibility? Are you out of your mind? What's going on here? So there's an environment there that that's why you see, I mean, I don't know how many people know, but Israel, forget tech. I mean, tech is obviously a very big part, but it's an entrepreneurship country. It's insane. Like, like NASDAQ. You look at NASDAQ. Here's a piece of stat for you guys. The number, like after American companies, the number 2 of listed company on NASDAQ are Israelis. You get that? Israel is 8 million people. It's the size of fucking Jersey. It's unbelievable, right? It's so much entrepreneurship, and you're driven like that, right? Like that's the way you grow up. And you also Robert was there also part of his life. So it's very hard to find fear. It's a very dangerous thing, to be honest, right? I always say that the most dangerous human beings I ever met were stupid Israelis, because they just go. And there's no fear. Like there's very little fear. So they're crazy.
Well, if you go back and you look at the history of the Israeli people and the Jewish people going back to like the time of the pharaohs and everything. I mean, you go back centuries and thousands of years. I mean, you can see why they're like a hard-nosed, industrious people.
Yeah, it's survival mode. I think it's sort of built into the genes, the survival mode. And Israel is almost like on steroids, because the country was always, it's less now, but it was always on this war mode and survival mode. So, I think so. Yeah. So part of it growing up, fitness was always there. I was always active. Lifting, I started really, really late, but I was always active. It wasn't a very developed culture. I actually started really serious only when I moved to the US and the gym culture here is way more developed and gyms are way more available. And I was in Israel, yes, but not as dedicated as I became here. And because there's more I think we talked about it in the previous session, biking, running. There's a lot of outdoor in the Mediterranean countries. Tons of outdoor. Outdoor is a big thing. So it was less indoor gym, but here it became more. Yeah. So that's the army piece. So I was more of a, like I said, it's the NSA version, Israeli NSA version where I served. So it was less about active.
So basically, don't piss off TJ, or else he's going to backhack your computer and find out all your dirty secrets.
I'm going to make it look like an accident. No, there were way more smarter people than I am, to be honest. Like, even though I'm in tech and like I did things, there's always been around me people who are way more capable than I am. Even in my last company, which in cyber, I wasn't the tech brain. Like, I had co-founders who are freaking unbelievable. I'm more of a storyteller. And the business side, I had always, I can't remember one time, except when I'm alone taking a shit in the bathroom, where I'm the smartest person around. Like there's always way smarter people around me.
I mean, there are other situations where you're by yourself, but whatever.
It's just a recency effect, John. Recency.
Any other questions from the panel members before we segue onto some other topics of discussion, gentlemen?
TJ, how long exactly did you have Fitness Deal News? Like the YouTube itself, the channel.
YouTube. So we started FDN. We were just looking back. We started FDN in 15. We really started getting serious about it late 15. So it's been 5 years. The YouTube channel, serious about 3 years, I would say.
Did you have immediately meteoric rise, or was it progressively?
was progressive. I mean, YouTube has a thing for people who want to go at it. First, like I said, it is a lot of hard work, and just like anything, you may be the one that hits it super right, and you grow from 1 to a billion like a day. It doesn't really happen most of the time. So it wasn't. I look back at my first reviews and I want to throw up. It was so low budget production. It was like. And but we had, so there's two things that worked out well for us on the YouTube channel. One, we had a couple of really, I would say, and that's very true, by the way, for a lot of YouTube channels. You have a breakthrough video. Like you have one video that goes crazy. So we had the original Erez White video for Mental Pharma. That's the first video that I think it's like 100,000 views or something like that now. It really, like, you know, these they have on YouTube the video that broke the internet. So it didn't break the internet, but it definitely launched, was one of these first pre-workouts that really got us out. And we had also always exposure because we have the benefit of the site. So when there's a review and we attach a video to the review, so it gets exposure, which it wouldn't necessarily get right out of YouTube. So there is always that playing along. But most of, I mean, people probably know, but most of the views that you get on stuff like what we do, which is reviews, is either organic, like people search for something, or it's a super, like it's a breakthrough video. So the recent one we had was Dark Energy. That one got to like 70,000 views in like a month and a half. And it wasn't, it's just like blew up. Like, and then YouTube started, I think, showing this shit probably to kids and women and pregnant women and whatever. I don't know how it got to 70,000 views, but that shit like just blew up. And so it happened. So it wasn't nothing. Listen, I've done 6, maybe 9 initiatives, you know, like companies and initiatives. None of them blew. I mean, it depends what you define blow up, right? Like if you sell a company for a lot of money after 3 years, does that blow up? I can tell you in man years, in dog years, I spent 50 years building that shit. But nothing just happens, at least not for most of people in humanity or me. Not the YouTube channel, not everything. And if you're an entrepreneur by heart, which a lot of us are, it never feels like you got there. I never woke up and said I got there. Like I look at my channel now and I say, "Fuck that! What is that shit?"
But you know, I from speaking from personal experience, I notice people like you said that are very passionate about what they do. They usually succeed. So my question to you is, you know, initially, since you didn't have the meteoric rise or anything like that, were you at any point? Were you driven mostly to succeed as a channel, or was it work of passion? And if it was to succeed, if initially you didn't have that success, were you at any point thinking about pulling the plug?
Yeah. So, wow, such a great question. I'll try to answer it as succinctly as I can and without taking a lot of time. Such a great question. You know, there is.
No, I'm sorry to interrupt you. The only reason why I asked also is because I see sometimes, like, you know, people are starting like review channels, and 90% of them are just, they shouldn't be doing it in the first place. But I noticed that they like, oh, I want to get to TJ's level, I want to get to this level, I want to get to that level, you know, and I think they're mostly driven by numbers rather than by passion. That's the reason why I asked.
So I think it's a mix, right? I mean, in everything almost, you need the passion. I think passion is very important, like I said, because if you don't really like what you do and you're determined to deliver value, you're going to, at some point, it's going to be too hard, or you're going to feel like you're stuck and you're going to give up. That's what happens to most people. Listen, that's what happens to, I'll tell you a story about the YouTube channel in a second. With my wife, Robert, you know her well. She's my partner in everything, and she's been around FDN forever, and she's been around everything we do. And she told me, I remember it was 3 years ago when we just started the channel, and I was spending, and we, at any given point in time, we have 10 things up in the air. So it's not just I'm doing a YouTube channel or a video. I have like 10 things up in the air. I have a cybersecurity startup, 4 other initiatives, stuff like that. She was seeing me doing the channel, like doing reviews and shit. And I remember her coming to me and says, why are you spending all this shit time on this thing? Go bring more thing. Go do this. Why are you spending this time on this thing? It's like, who sees your shit, right? Like there's 100 views on this crap that you're launching here, and because it does take a lot of time. Like I said, like you can spend hours editing a video or something, and but I was doing it. So to back to your point, so there, you have to be passionate about it, and I think you need to have, I call it the end game in mind, right? What is the end game in mind? Like I have when I start something, and my end game might be very different than other people I may start something with, but when I start something, I have the end game for me in mind. Like when I build, I'll just give an example. When I built my cybersecurity company, my end game wasn't to build like a big company that would be now whatever will be present in 20 years from now. My end game was to sell it. It was literally my end game. I wanted to build it, make a difference, make an impact, bring customers, create cool technology, and sell it, right? So that's my end game. With YouTube, with everything, you need to have an end game in mind. Now, passion is not enough for an end game because passion is a must, because otherwise you'll break. But as people will tell you, and as you guys know, you need to have something which is more than passion and will. You need to, if you're doing a YouTube channel, then you need to have a personality, you need to add value, you need to, whatever it is, you need to add value. And I think most people that, if you're stuck, and that's what, so you asked another question, which is really hard, so I want to, really important, I want to touch on it. There are points in time when you call it quits. And it's, you know, in the investment world, it's called good money after bad money. Like you put money into something and it just sucks. Yeah, you could continuously inject money into it, but it's just good money after bad money. That money is bad. You're now throwing good money after bad money, which is not going to do anything. If you're doing it for fun, then continue doing it for fun. If you just, there's people I know who do YouTube channels and they're just like being on YouTube. They get 100 views, 200. They just like being on YouTube, and that's fine. That's totally fine. If you want to have more, if that's your objective, you measure yourselves by number and you're stuck, then I think the worst thing you could do, which is honestly worse than quitting, is to continue doing the same shit and expecting different results. That's the biggest thing. If you're stuck, you're stuck. Something is off. It's either your face or your content or your, whatever it is, you're not adding value, your SEO optimization. So if something is not working, and that's what I'm saying, it's really the definition, that's why I said the definition of done, I call it, like the end game is very important. If you're doing a YouTube video just because you want to be out there, just that's it. So fine. Your definition of done is I posted another video. If some people saw it, great, I move on with my life. If your objective is to grow and you're not growing, so either decide why you're not growing and do something really different or try to do, or just quit, because I think it's better to quit. And just know it's a journey. It's an endurance for whatever you're starting, endurance, the ability to endure. That's my either Skype text or my my WhatsApp is, I think, still hungry. But endurance is the most important thing. So, but with a goal, not stupid, just go at it and throw good money after bad money, I think. So yeah, so I at some point, like I said, my wife was, she's an entrepreneur also with me. At some point she said, fuck it, because she has less space. I'm more determined in that extent. Like I'll go to until there's blood on the walls. Like I'll freaking go. I'll go. And but if it's not working, I think I mentioned that in the tech space, I had four start companies I started. 2 were closed. One in the 2000 bubble that exploded, and another one after, actually not very recent. And I called them. I stopped them after losing a lot of money, and I stopped because that's it. You see, it's broken. It's not going anywhere. Move on to the next one. Stop. Call it quits. It's not working. Something is not working, and if there's no way to pivot, just go to the next one. So, yeah, you need to stop at some point. YouTube is hard. It was freaking hard. I like.
Do you do a lot of SEO optimization? Do you try to game the system, TJ, and title it attractively or not? Just because. So there's two.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, just from doing reviews, like when CJ and I used to do them, and I know he would go into the analytics and try to do all that. Me, I don't. That stuff doesn't. I don't want to waste my brain power on. I'd rather focus my efforts on other things. So if I'm uploading a review, it's going to be so and so company blah 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 pre-workout review, or
Right,
XYZ
right.
protein 3 flavors review. So that's why.
So you need to, I would say this. Yes, I do spend time. I don't spend as much time now because I have sort of templates and stuff. So I don't not like, there's not a lot of time, but I spent a lot of time learning the system. So, but that's true for me for everything. So I took courses on YouTube, and I did SEO optimization courses, and I hired people to teach me. But I do that for everything. If I go into something, I'll go deep. I'll learn the shit out of it. I'll take courses. I'll go deep. I want to know, or I'll find someone that is, and that's why I would tell to you, Robert, if you want to get more traffic on your videos, I'll send you a couple of people that would do whatever, $15 per video, and we'll do SEO optimization for you, and fuck it. So I always tell that to my wife. Like, she says, hey, how about you do this thing outside? I said, pay someone, seriously. This shit takes 2 hours. I make way more money than you can pay him for 2 hours. So let me do something else. I'll go do something else.
Right.
So if you don't want to spend the time, pay someone to do it. I do think it works. SEO is very important. If you look at my analytics on my channel, 50% of views on videos are from search. People searching something and finding the review, and the other 50 subscribers and what's called explore, where YouTube just suggests stuff to you, stuff like that based on viewership. Yeah, search optimization is very important on YouTube, but that doesn't necessarily translate to subscribers, because search, someone finds your video, he needs a reason to subscribe. If he's either likes the content, or he said, why, people don't get it. They think, it's so funny. Like, why would I subscribe? People don't get it. I mean, in order to subscribe, I need a reason to actually think that the next one is going to be something I give a shit about. So I need to like it's like a show. It's like doing like watching a show on Netflix. You're not watching episode 2 if episode 1 sucked. And if there's no reason, if it's a one-off thing, right? Like, I'll give you an example. I'm looking now for an office chair. So I'm gonna Google best office chair under $1,000, okay, or under $500. I'll find a YouTube video. What are the chances I'll subscribe to that channel? Zero. Why the fuck do I want to see a series about office chairs? I mean, like, it just doesn't matter.
There's gotta be something to make you want to come back. You either connect with the personality, or you appreciate the information they're doing, or something. There's gotta
and
be
the content, you like content like that. You say, oh shit, when the next time something like that comes up. So in the review world, by the way, a lot of it is discovery. You want to learn about new supplements that are coming out, or if it's a supplement review, it's more about, hey, that's why the review bros, for example, they were like, they're uploading a lot of videos. So they're also like Pornhub capacity. So they review a lot of stuff. So if you want to be, it's sort of a stacked version for pre-workouts. If you subscribe to the review bros, which, by the way, if you're listening to this and you don't subscribe, good guys, then you just want to see what's next. Like, and it's, even if it's, again, another pre-workout, because they do so many of them and all these esoteric ones. So you subscribe there to watch. So you need a reason to come to the next one. And if 9 out of 10 videos that the channel is going to produce is not relevant to you, your subscription percentage is going to be relatively low, because I'm going to assume that your next one is just going to be shit. And people miss that, because channels that are all over the place in the review world, they miss growth, because the audience doesn't wait for a review, because it doesn't know if 7 out of 10 reviews are just going to be on shit that you don't care about, you're going to stop watching.
Right.
You're not going to care anymore. Yeah. So it's like anything. There's very little. There's random stuff, but it's not a lot. Random successes. Yeah.
All right.
And by the way, Robert, I never blew up. My channel never blew up. I'm only like 20,000 subscribers. It's nothing. I still need to blow up. Waiting for the blow up.
But it depends how you are looking at it, because from the supplement perspective, it's
it's the biggest one on supplements today. But for me,
you're not like a fucking blogger that you are going everywhere with your camera, and going your day. You're simply reviewing stuff.
In that regard, on that regard, and you need to be realistic also to that extent, right? Because there's only so much audience for these things. So on viewership perspective, I see my statistics and compare it to anyone else, like amount of views, forget even subscribers per month, right? So we have now, I think it's about 500,000 views per month on our channel, and that's probably like 10 times the closest one on YouTube, and it's sort of the amount that you have, right, to some extent. But like, I give you an example. If I would go now and I would put the effort and just churn out more reviews, then I would get more traffic, just as an example, because just people searching for stuff that we don't have a video for. But for me, it's not. I mean, to your point, it also depends what you're trying to achieve, right? For me, it's a good audience right now. I mean, I want to grow. You know, measuring. Robert, you asked it about measuring. I mean, how do you measure stuff? You know, YouTube, you measure by views, you measure by subscribers. That's why I'm saying it depends what you want to measure, right? There's things I do today that I use money just to measure success. Now I'm not gonna use that money, right? I'm gonna give it to my kids or something. But it's a good way to measure success, right? Was I successful? So views on YouTube, subscribers is a way to measure. That's why I think there's channels today, which we like to mention. You know, the subscriber is great, but nobody watches their shit. So I mean, well, the measure of success can change, I would say, in different circumstances. Anyway, okay.
Excellent. All right. Well, if nobody's got any other questions for Sir TJ, then we can move on to the main event.
Move
That was
on.
beautiful.
All right. So, TJ, do you want to pick the topic of the 6 that you sent me, or you want me to just pick?
Oh, okay. No, you can pick. You can pick.
All right. This will be a good one. I'm curious. Busting the myth.
Scared?
This is what TJ. This is the list that TJ sent me. It says, busting the myth of research-backed formulas. So you look on just about any company's website, and they all say research-backed ingredients, research-backed formulas, you know, extensively tested and all this stuff. We all know it's marketing jargon, but let's get your ideas. And Robbie, since you're a brand owner, I'm going to save you for last on this, because we're gonna put you up to the firing squad, and then we're gonna let everybody do that. So, Lukasz, what do you think when you see companies saying this is a research-backed formula?
I don't know what to say, to be honest. You know, I think that the best opinion that you should this question should be asked directly to Robic. I think he's an expert in this field, so he should say way more than me. I'm just like a stupid sales manager that sells stuff that other guys produce. But as far as my point, you know, I think that I'm passing this question to Robbie, because I want to see what he wants to say up first, and then I can say my opinion.
No problem. No, I can answer it. Actually, gladly, and I think it's a very, very good point, because I'll point to TJ first in terms of he often says labels are just labels, and I know quite a few people that actually disagree with that, and I was honestly one of those people as well, until me and him, we had a discussion, and and we actually both realized, or actually I realized, that he was not actually far off. That he was right in terms of.
What does that fucking mean? Only one discussion when I was right?
So, in terms of labels are just labels, and it is a valid point, because today pretty much every company does state that, scientifically back this, scientifically back that, and most of it, I'm not going to say all of it, because all of it also would not be true. Most of it is absolute bullshit, because there are certain ingredients, especially in a transparent label, that we know that do work. They work because, yes, there is a certain research behind them, or they stood the test of time. We often talk about such ingredient and say citrulline, very, very easy ingredient to discuss in terms of the scientific background, in terms of if it's proven to work. We know how much citrulline is needed to provide optimal results. So it's very, very easy. Once we see on the label that it's a proprietary blend of 3 grams, and it includes 10,000 fucking ingredients, and one of them is citrulline, it's safe to say that that product is garbage, and there is very, very little of any benefit from citrulline on a label, because that could be like 2 grams. I mean, 2 milligrams, in fact. Then you have something like Robert Schinetsky's favorite, S7, that forced me. I'm going to be picking on you forever for that one. That forced me from TJ and I had a conversation about change of labels. Why am I changing bare knuckle? One of the reasons, and I had a podcast with some Russian people on Thursday, and they asked me about S7, so I was kind of put against the wall. They said, like, whoa, S7, we haven't seen this. Like, how good is that, ingredient in bare knuckle? And I was literally against the wall, because, like, do I say that it's great because it's my product and it's still around in Russia and Ukraine, or do I tell the truth? So I said, you know what, guys, actually, we're releasing a new bare knuckle. S7 is actually part of the supplement facts that I'm actually embarrassed by. I said that's one of the main reasons why I'm changing the formula, because we constantly say that Apollon Nutrition is great, and we're putting out great products, expensive products. We're trying to fully load them. And now I jumped on a bandwagon of S7 that is a complete garbage, and there is somebody who I'm looking up to, Robert, who explained to me in detail that there is no scientific backing behind those outrageous claims. It's the same thing as Celtic used to say that, 7,000% better creatine than any other creatine on the market. We remember that. So S7 is junk, and it's pretty much, not that it's junk, it's not scientifically proven, just like, we just mentioned, because companies are claiming that it's all that. You have grains of paradise. Most companies are putting, it's a great ingredient, by the way, but if you look at most labels, they as low as 15 milligram to 50 milligram. Again, I don't consider myself an expert. I'm still learning a lot, but I'm doing my research. And 50 milligram of grains of paradise is literally doing nothing. It's shit. And few companies are putting out the actual, numbers, which substantially higher than 50 milligram. So you have a lot of products on the market and companies and jumping and saying, oh, look, scientifically backed up, but it's not backed up. It's maybe in theory that it might work, or maybe some trademarked ingredient like Glucovantage that I'm not saying is junk, but is it really proven to work? No, but yet it costs a lot more than berberine, and certain channels are proclaiming that it's the greatest fucking gift ever, but it's not backed up, so it is just a label. That's all it is. It's just a fucking label with no scientific backing whatsoever. Or we can talk about caffeine. DJ said something about, like, how he made Ares, Ares blew up on his channel. It was one of the most viewed pre-workouts, and he literally made it one of the most popular pre-workouts. From my perspective, I can say exactly the same about Assassin. Prior to TJ, who had balls to actually come out and say, look, listen, Assassin is fucking great. I think he put it like in top 3 or top 1 pre-workout when it was released. Everybody, and I mean every fucking review channel, was crucifying me, saying that it's garbage, saying that it's, that it's dangerous, that you're gonna die, and people were threatening to sue me. I mean, it was like it was literally a nightmare. That was the only time, because I consider myself a pretty brave person, but that was the only time that I was starting to doubt myself, when everybody was basically saying, but yet the funny thing is, everybody was buying it. It was like fucking hottest thing on the market, but TJ came out and he was like, okay, I took it. It's fucking great. It fucking works. And then Robert came into a picture and goes like, well, but there is actually a scientific background on caffeine, that 6, 7, or 800 milligram of caffeine, there is scientific proof that it actually can work, and it's really not that dangerous, and some people actually can benefit from it. In fact, there is a scientific data that proves that 6, 7, 800 milligram of caffeine can be actually benefiting. But funny, I came across yesterday an ad for Jay Cutler's pre-workout, and his ad goes, and again, I have nothing but respect for Jay, and his pre-workout is actually pretty decent based on what I saw, from the label. But the header, before even the supplement facts or anything else, it says, if you're looking for caffeine of 500 milligram or more, if you're looking for all that, then this is not for you. Basically saying that, that his pre-workout is actually good because it doesn't put too much caffeine in it. Basically saying that caffeine is bad for you, so it's like almost anti-advertising and almost going on a, like scientific claim that too much caffeine is bad for you, which is absolutely not true. So we have all this misleading information for the consumer, where every company is saying, well, this is backed up by research, this is backed up by scientific proof, scientific data, and they're all using very, very fancy words, where in reality is, number one, you have to see how that pre-workout works for you. You have to know about the ingredients. Are they actually scientifically, proven to work, or are they complete bullshit? I'm trying my best, and this is answering, I mean, even though we discussed it with TJ yesterday, the only reason, and I think I talked to Shane about it, the only reason why I'm trying to always kind of keep up with the actual science, when the actual, research, and that's the reason I'm trying to put better and better and better products, but I don't do it just to cut corners. I don't do it because somebody said that Glucavantage or Mitaburn or whatever the fuck it is, all of a sudden, the ingredient just came on the market and somebody got paid for it, to promote it, and all of a sudden it's all that great. And I'm not even talking shit right now. I'm actually being nice and not angry. I didn't take the angry pre-workout, and I would not release a product today without consulting with Robert, because I value his opinion. And if S7 is shit, then it's not going to be part of my pre-workout. I'm embarrassed that we even had it as part of our pre-workout. I mean, bare knuckle is phenomenal, but S7 didn't contribute to it being phenomenal. It's the other ingredients that worked, and at the end of the day, all this shit about scientifically proven, and look at our labels, and look, I mean, you can pretty much take almost any product today and look at the label, and you can literally crucify it, because even the brand owners themselves, let's be honest, I'm not going to say everyone, because there are some people who are as passionate as I am and very competitive, and they want to put up the best products on the market. But most of them are still driven by profits. Most of them are driven by margins. So they will say whatever the fuck it takes, to emphasize how good their products are. And then the consumer, let's face it, also not very knowledgeable. A lot of them are still not very knowledgeable. They buying into hype. They buying into seeing the little R register or TM or whatever, and they thinking like, holy shit, somebody just brought up to me a product that pretty much every fucking ingredient is trademarked. And they're like, did you see this? Every fucking ingredient is branded ingredient. They went out of the way. And then I'm looking at it. Number one, it's underdosed. Number two, who the fuck cares? It's still shit. Beta-alanine is beta-alanine, whether you're using fucking carnosine or you're using beta-alanine, and we know that. It's the same thing with drugs, over-the-counter drugs or prescription drugs. There is a reason why there is generic and there is brand, and generic will always cost less, but it's just as fucking good. But that's the information that nobody conveys to the consumer. Robert does it. TJ fucking has balls, and he goes out and pretty much blasts everybody, and he's not afraid. I mean, funny enough, like I said, I only found out about TJ because I was using the fucking search on YouTube and come across TJ blasting somebody that everybody is fucking bowing on, and TJ goes like, okay, this shit sucks. But that's the thing. That's, I think, the reason why TJ or Robert are as popular as they are, and people are actually looking for their advice, because you need to tell the consumer the truth. And all this scientifically backed product, and if it's scientifically backed, then prove that science. Why don't you show? We have people who are putting a pre-workout with, say, 300 or 400 milligram of caffeine, and then you have experts saying, well, that's too much caffeine. Based on what? Who the fuck are you to say to say that it's too much? Is it only because you don't like it? Well, you don't like it, don't fucking use it. But scientifically backed up products, scientifically backed up ingredients, I mean, I don't even know. There's like probably 10% of them that are actually on the market. The rest is just made up bullshit by companies to promote their brand. But I also think that's the reason why you have meteoric, like literally meteoric rise of companies based on the fact that they're spending money on marketing and they're putting out this product that everybody's buying. Everybody's buying because apparently it's scientifically backed, you know, because some review channel said that it's good, or some athlete who has 1 million, you know, followers said that it's the best shit on the market. But guess what happens after the consumer buys that product? He actually switches to another product because he realizes that he just wasted money on junk. I mean, that's my perspective. I don't know. I mean, any input?
Yeah, I think that there's, you know, when we came up with labels art, when I started saying labels are just labels, it has 3 parts to it, and I'll try to be short.
And I think a lot of people misunderstood what you were trying to say.
Also, but so maybe I'll explain it. I tried now in the recent videos. I just recorded the video today. I was actually trying to explain it. There's 3 elements there. One is there's no scientific first. Okay, so there's 4 elements. Element number 1: most things that are research backed, and we talked a bit about that. It's bullshit. The research is we wouldn't use this research for anything else except a supplement claim. It's not research back. There's like these sort of experiments that people do in these super limited environments. It means shit. I'm not saying everything, but 90% at least, and I'm being generous probably, is the research is garbage. So that's number 1. Research is garbage. Then that's the first element. The second element is there's no research about how all these things interact with each other. So you can have, let's say that I put 4 research-backed shit. Can I please find the research around these 4, how they interact together? And not just how they interact together, how they interact together with this, when this is 325, when this is 275, and there's no, the whole research, that's why in specific, so that we'll get to that. In certain elements, that's why I think it's bullshit. So that's number 2. The number 3 element is the actual ingredient quality changes dramatically. So even if I took an ingredient, one ingredient here, it's research back, citrulline, okay? I can find shit quality citrulline and good quality citrulline. I can save some money and get it from some shady supplier somewhere, or I can get like high quality stuff, alpha yo, caffeine, whatever. So so I think that the ingredients quality matter also. So what does scientific back means also there, if it means anything until now. And then I think the 4th element is really at the end of the day, most of these things, when you put them together, they are, the 4th element is trademarked. I was just going to say that. People don't get it. You know how easy it is to fucking trademark shit? Do people even know? I suggest to everyone listening to this thing, go on uspto.org and trademark your whatever, your crouch hair or something, like your hairy crouch. Just trademark that shit. Like go trademark your toe, your wife's vagina, something. Go trademark some shit. It's $220 per year and you trademark your wife's vagina. Seriously, I just don't get it. I mean, people think that if it's a trademarked ingredient, it means anything. It doesn't mean shit. It's just a process. I can take now 3 milligrams of something, 4 milligrams of this, 5 milligrams of this, call it dog shit, right? And trademark it. And that's it. And then I'll pay some review channel $250 and they'll say it's the biggest thing since I was ever. By the way, I'll do research with my neighbor here, right? I'll ask him to, whatever, spit on the floor and then take this and I'll prove that his spit went 50% longer, which shows endurance increase in whatever. And that's it. And it's trademarked and it's research back. Seriously, people are so stupid. Honestly, like there's so little of these. Just go into science and see what does it mean to have a real thing that's research. Why does it take freaking drug 15 years to get approved? Because you actually need research behind it. And before they give it to someone. Now, you take this supplement shit and some company comes up with stuff. They do like this 5 minutes experiment. Boom. Graph. And by the way, the audience is so retarded in this regards, right? Yeah, like all you need to do is like put a chart with a graph with red and blue before and after. NO production increased by, oh my God. And people love this shit. The Review Bros just posted this pre-workout with like 700 ingredients. Have you seen that shit? Like something in the UK? Yeah. My comment there was that this is the most ridiculous label I've ever seen in my life. It's like someone just went to, like, it's like a phone book label. Like every fucking ingredient ever at 100 milligrams, and people like, and there's excitement around it. Why it's a long fucking list? Are you people, how stupid can you be? Anyway, back to that. I think that there's so little research behind stuff. So when pre-workout is easy, we talked about it. You either feel it or you don't. Easy. Pre-workouts you're supposed to feel. That's it. If you feel it, great. If you don't, I don't care what's in it. It doesn't matter if it's research back, trademark, bullshit. You either feel it or not. And I think there's stuff you take, which in theory you have to rely on science, right? Like you literally have to, because that's why you're taking. You're taking the science, right? Yeah. But again, if over time you won't feel it, then drop it. And that's why most of let's take natural test boosters as an example. How many people do you know that actually take a natural test boosters over time? Not just buy a bottle and then give up. No one. Why? Because it doesn't work. And they take it, and at some point they don't feel the increase. They don't feel anything. So they say, fuck it, I'll just go do something else. So anyway, that's the 4 elements of labels are just labels.
Shane, what about you? You write a lot of news stories, and I'm sure all these companies are throwing copy your way saying, well, our product is research-backed, or we use XYZ ingredients that's, it's a triple patented proprietary blend of bullshit or whatever. So what goes through your mind with research-backed stuff, and, what's your opinion on it in general?
I think it's the supplement industry itself. It's like one of the things it does, like if someone does something well, everyone's going to be like, well, fuck, let's just do that. And then within a year, everybody's doing the same shit, like only if it works. Like Jacked, for example. Jacked, concentrate pre-workout. And then what do you know? Like next 6 months, everyone's doing a concentrated pre-workout. Like it's over the years when people did science and like research proven stuff, like it was somewhat reliable to some extent. Like you could sort of like 10 years ago, there was some substance to it. Now you've got like everybody's doing it with like the smallest inkling of any proof and anything. And so now just like concentrated pre-workout, it doesn't mean the same as it did when it started. It's just like when they did fully dosed pre-workouts, everybody was like, oh, Outlift, pre-gym, they were fully loaded pre-workouts. And then within a year or two, everybody's doing fully dosed pre-workouts, but they're like half what of Outlift had and pre-gym and NutriBio. So the consumers are now being shown or promoted the same bloody thing, but they're not the same thing. And so now at the point when you see people saying this is a science-backed pre-workout, it's not the same as when it was actually, people put effort into this shit. So I don't actually, to be honest, like I'll take it as an indication. Like someone says, oh, this is science-backed. I'll look at it, and if it says something like, you know what, to be honest, it doesn't matter what it says. Like I'll be like, oh, it's science-backed. So I'll be like, okay, that's kind of interesting, right? Like if there was a product that said this helps with pumps and then this helps with pumps, and they both had the same formula, identical, and then this one was like, we're science-backed. If everything else is even, I may lean more towards that one. But like if you're talking about, if you said to me that this thing altogether works like magic, and then this thing you weren't sure about, but it's science-backed, I would go for the magic every day. But it's just because I've seen the science-backed claim so much, and it's just overused to the point where you can't trust it. And even some science that even if it's proven like after like 10 years, like I mean, I can guarantee I've had products where people say, oh man, the science behind this is amazing, and I take it and I'm like, I didn't notice shit. And they're like, did you use it right? And I'm like, look, motherfucker, it's not hard to use the following instructions, right? Don't sit there and say to me, did I use it right? The problem is probably that, I don't know, maybe it just doesn't work on me. Because even the best studies aren't based on 1 billion people, are they? So it's a good indicator now, I think, but it's not like. And the other issue is now you've got so many companies that just trademark their own version and their own ingredient, just so that they can put a logo that they've made on the front of their label. And again, and now it's like it's ruined it for those ingredients companies that have gone out, done some digging, done some research, and actually gone and got a quality form, branded it, trademarked it, and now other companies I'm just going to get regular whatever the fuck, put a brand name on it, trademark it, and now they're seen in the same level as this company who's actually put a bit of effort in. And again, industry's just overused some shit. Just drilled it down.
Let's break the myth all the way. So let's create together a trademarked ingredient and make it science-based. I just want to make sure that anyone that's listens to this actually gets it. You go trademark. We already talked about it. It's a couple of $100. You trademark whatever you want. It's literally bullshit. Okay. Now, if we want to do research backed, so just that we're set, you take something that you know somewhat works, and most of them, and you choose an environment where it actually works. You go pay to a university $15,000, right? And that's it. They take 8 students that will blow you for $100 because they need the money, and put them in this experiment. The smallest amount of increase, which is totally placebo even most of the time, because it doesn't matter, because the shit is random. That's it. You're research based. That's it. Your trademark.
I feel like
that's what it is. That's what it is.
You could put on a pre-workout, call it researched pre-workout or studied pre-workout, and then like in an asterisk at the bottom, me and my friend took this for like 2 weeks and thought it was great. Like, I feel like because if I remember correctly, back in the day, even Jack
review on the label already.
Jack had university studied on the front, if I remember correctly.
It did.
I don't ever remember looking at the study. I know that shit worked, but
exactly.
I feel like you could just switch it up a bit and just say, neighborhood studied or like gym studied.
Well, that's
all my buddies.
That's what Stefani always says. He says, I have a PhD, but I did my education in my own gym. I'm thinking, okay, that's not actual research. I mean, that's anecdote, which is a contribution to science, but it's not as,
I think if you got a bunch of guys at the gym, like a bunch of dudes who've been lifting for 10, 15 years, and they took it for 4 weeks, and some of them took some dog shit, some of them took some amazing stuff, and they came back like, bro, this was good shit. And someone came back and was like, this was not good shit.
That's science back.
And then you put these claims on the label. I would trust that over some of these things that say increase. Because again, it's just because all of these ones that have the deep research have just been mixed in with these products that are reaching too much. Whereas a dude that came to me and said, bro, pumps with a shit, I'll be like, damn, that sounds good. I like that. I like the sound of that.
And it puts me in a really awkward spot sometimes, because I'll consult with different companies, or they'll reach out to me and say, hey, what do you think of this ingredient? We're thinking of putting it in a pre-workout or a testosterone booster. And they said, hey, this ingredient company approached us, and here's the thing. And I said, all right, the first thing I say is, and they'll ask me, what do you think of this ingredient? I say, give me the studies first. I don't want to see their white paper. I don't want to see the marketing jargon. Don't give me the sales flyer, product brochure bullshit. Give me the actual research. And then when you dig into it, you get something like S7 or Citrapeak, which Citrapeak's saying, 16% improvement in blood flow. The test was they took their hand, stuck it in cold water, then took their hand out and said, oh, this hand didn't get as cold when we gave them Citrapeak. That's a marked increase in blood flow.
How many people? Yeah.
So, I mean, I understand from the company's point of view, they're trying to bring some kind of innovation or use something new, because we've all seen the same 2.5 grams of betaine, 3 grams of beta-alanine, 6 grams of citrulline, 300 caffeine. We've seen that so many goddamn times. It's, you just glaze over when you start looking at a pre-workout label these days. So I understand from their point of view, they want to try and bring something new. And I almost feel like I'm the crotchety old man just yelling at everything, all the new ingredients now, because they're founded on such weak research that they're all just dog shit ingredients. And even if you look at something that we consider like a proven commodity like citrulline, you go out and see like the first few studies on citrulline malate using 8 grams showed benefit. And then there was like a streak in like 2017, 2018 when citrulline was like over. It didn't show any improvement. Now, was that a byproduct of the training protocols they had the athletes on? Was it were they not loaded properly with it or not? So, I mean, even some things that we assume to be a really good ingredient. Remember, studies are just reporting averages. So for as many people as that will work for in the study, there's probably an equivalent amount that is not working for.
I think for people to understand, they need to look at what does it take to actually have science-backed stuff that people like it takes forever. You do experiments on tens of thousands of people and so many variety. And so these things, you can literally get science back in like 2 weeks, or a week. There's no... If this shit was working, if it was so easy, then everybody would do it.
Yeah, right? I think it's like take it with a grain of salt, but it's a shame because, again, there are companies who probably put a lot of money and a lot of effort into it, and then there are companies who don't. So it's, like I said, the supplement industry just ruins a lot of things sometimes, and they overdo it and kill it. And it's just, like I said, companies who will put a branded ingredient on their label that it's just a regular ingredient that they trademarked, that will put them in the same realm as someone who's actually built a brand name behind their ingredient. And it's just, I take it with a grain of salt. I'll be like,
Yeah.
But also you
bad.
have to realize something, that there are so many contributing factors to the hype. I mean, number one, you have the brand owners who are coming out, and the employees and everybody who's involved with the company coming out, and they saying, I have the best shit on the market because it's scientifically proven. Okay, that ingredient came out like yesterday, so there was not enough time to prove anything. That's number one. Number two, you have marketing campaign, including paid review channels, stores that are obviously interested in the highest margin. Like, I talked to one store owner who talked to me about this popular pre-workout that he was getting literally for $14 or $15, but he would sell it for $50 easily. So obviously he's going to say whatever he can to say that it's actually scientifically proven and it's backed up. But the thing is, it's actually getting a little bit trickier also, because we're talking a lot about, like you said, about Jim Stepani and NutraBio and everybody who came out, with a fully transparent formula. And it was the thing, a couple of years ago, where I was actually thinking that it's going to be a slow death of proprietary blends, because everybody was coming out with, fully transparent labels. But right now you can find on the market shitload of transparent labels that, even based on the labels, they just severely underdosed and severely bad. Like, Robert, let me ask you, for example, about more or less proven ingredients that at least kind of stood the test of time. Mm-hmm. So what would you say is, acceptable dose for citrulline and tyrosine?
Tyrosine, 2 grams. I mean, that's where most of the human studies are. Citrulline is anywhere between, one study, I believe, is endurance cycling, was 2.4 grams is the lowest dose for just pure L-citrulline, and it maxes out at 10 grams is what the body can use before it starts converting it.
So the average would be somewhere around like 4, 5, 6 grams of citrulline, and tyrosine about 2,000. So now I've seen with my own eyes, 2 products by companies that I would say, fairly known. One of them, you look at the label, both of them fully transparent companies. So you look, and the only review I actually saw on a company was by Review Brothers, and I have to, to give them props, they called it out. So the tyrosine in a fully transparent formula was 250 milligram, and they actually said, this is severely underdosed. And like I said, it's a known company that, with heavy marketing behind it. And then you see something like that, 250 milligram. I mean, it's clearly underdosed. This is the case where I wish they would actually use it in a proprietary blend and not embarrass themselves. And then there is another company. Who came out maybe about 2 years ago. And the citrulline was 1 gram, literally 1 gram in a fully fully transparent formula. They had some stimulants that are obviously very cheap, so you will feel them. But in terms of pump, and obviously the company claimed that it gives you crazy pumps and it's scientifically proven ingredients. So now you have really proven ingredients, citrulline, as part of the formula, because it is a proven ingredient and it does work. Obviously you need a certain amount of it, but then they have 1 gram. So now for the consumer that doesn't know the actual studies or backup, like Robert just said, 2.4 gram and 6 gram and whatever, they see, wow, they have citrulline in this formula. This must be good. So, there are so many little flaws in those claims, and very few people actually call them out on that, because it's a fully transparent formula. So the company says, but then you have just basics. We're not even talking about the latest, so to speak, proven ingredients, quote unquote, like S7 and Glucovantage and all of those. And, we're talking about proven ingredients that have been around for years, but they still severely underdosed on a fully transparent formula. So the flaws are coming like back, left and right. like TJ said, trademark ingredient that anyone can fucking trademark. Like I'm looking today, you have Area Geranices trademarked. Why the fuck do I need Area Geranices trademarked? And
I didn't know
seen
there
that.
is one.
there is
Yeah,
one.
there is.
There is
You know
one.
what? I'm pretty
I
sure that
was
was
shocked.
me, wasn't it?
I was shocked. I was shocked. Like I'm looking like some kind of an ingredient in a pre-workout. I'm like, never seen it. I'm like, the fuck? It's Area Geranices, but it's trademarked. It's trademarked. So you have like the weirdest shit on the market, and now they're gonna have. Well, how is this one better than the other one? Or like Robert and I talked about CDP choline, and Robert goes to me, whether you use the fucking trademark or you use CDP choline, it's exactly the same shit. But that one is a trademark. It costs more money, and the little R makes it look more official. And now you have, these guys have a scientifically backed up ingredient. It's complete bullshit. And it's all over right now.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, and that's the last thing I guess I'll have to put an end cap on this with research-backed formulas. I mean, outside of doing like in-person testing or in-house testing, like these companies are like they'll make some samples up and give it to some of their athletes or the company owners or the formulator or whatever staff. They'll do some testing on that, but very few, if any, companies are actually doing scientific research on their supplement formulas. It's all borrowed science. You're pulling this ingredient, this study on citrulline and pulling the dosage from it. This study on caffeine, this study on beta-alanine. TJ mentioned earlier, we have no idea how all these things actually interact when you stack them together. We're just assuming that because they're all working via different pathways in the body or at different endpoints on the pathway, that they're going to have some kind of complementary or synergistic activities. But it's all just theory and conjecture and hypothesis, or an extension of a study which we're hoping will work. It's not actually rooted in a given documented scientific paper anywhere.
The area Gerensis is NeuroPEA.
Yes,
it's in the
that's
new
the
Peak
one.
Performance Lab. It's in the new Peak
That's the
Performance Lab. But to their credit, that's a pretty solid formula. But I mean, again, to be honest,
it's just like it's a trademark Area Geranices. That's what I was
But
like,
the weirdest thing is that's the only trademarked ingredient in that whole thing. It's like a 25-gram scoop, fully dosed 8 grams of citrulline. But of all these things in there, that's the only one that's trademarked.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up the 25-gram thing, and Robbie touched on this earlier too. Like we had the scoop war. So originally we had the caffeine wars where we were going like 200 milligrams a scoop, 300, 400, 500, 600. Caffeine was going up and up. And then we had like the scoop wars where pre-gym came out, it was like a 18-gram scoop. And then pre-cage came out and it was like a 28-gram or a 30 scoop. And like now you're seeing companies say, we have a 20-gram scoop. We've got a 32-gram scoop. We've got a 26. I'm thinking, I don't give a shit about how big the scoop is. You could have a 46-gram scoop for all I care. But if 30 grams of that 40 grams is 8 grams of BCAAs, 5 grams of creatine, 4 grams of beta-alanine, all 5 grams of glutamine, and I don't give a shit about the formula.
That's what I mean. Like it's the industry. Like someone does something and it does well, then within the next 6 months or a year, everyone's just like, you know what? Fuck you. I'll do a 25-gram scoop. Screw it. I'll put 25 grams of dextrose in there. Now I got 50.
Right. Yeah. It's all dead weight. None of those things are actually going to provide any tangible benefit in the workout.
But they're only doing it. Like it's again, they just overdo it, and then it kills it, and then it ruins like that actual original that was a solid 20 grams.
Yeah. So, all right, and I think we've beaten that the research back thing as far as into the dirt as possible. So, in wrapping up here, we're going to move to a lightning round now. So, Shane, this is where you get to shine, buddy, and I'm going to let you choose 5 topics from the past week of headlines on Stack 3D. And you get to host this segment. So you're going to pick a new story, and then at random, you are going to pitch it to one of us. And
what do you mean pitch it? What do I have to...
This was TJ's idea. So we're going to, I guess, give them the product label or a rundown of what the product is, and we'll get a feedback just to go.
Yeah, just tell us the news item. It doesn't have to be a product.
I was gonna say you're making it sound like I had to sell it to these people.
No,
and I was like,
try to sell. No, I'm joking.
I did not pick these.
What's the news
based
item?
On that.
Shoot, Shane.
So who's first? TJ?
Yeah, I can go.
Okay,
first.
sweet. Then I got one.
Yeah.
I have
it was
one
TJ's idea for a lightning round, so we're gonna
give it to
TJ
I have one
first.
just for TJ. So I'm going with the. In fact, I don't even need to explain this part. The Kaged glutamine, the microencapsulated Kaged glutamine that came out. So they announced it, or they previewed it like a week ago, and then they officially launched it this week. And I think the most important factor of this one because again, if you said microencapsulated glutamine and it was, I think, if I remember correctly, it has a 20 times faster absorption rate, right? So if you tell me these things and it's only going to cost me 50 cents more than regular glutamine, then I'll be like, okay, or $1 more, that makes sense. So this past week they launched it. We finally got the price. So here you go, TJ. So it is indeed 82 servings a tub. They tell you to have 4 a day, if I remember correctly. 5 grams of glutamine each serving. Microencapsulated glutamine, which is, they say, is more bioavailable, leads to 20 times faster absorption rate. And it is $30 for that for that tub in total. And I actually gave the exact percentage. It is exactly 82% more expensive per gram compared to Kaged Muscle's own glutamine. So you got regular glutamine, then you got this one. So
you stole Robert's favorite topic. I feel bad taking it. Like
I'll put an end cap on it after you finish, TJ. So.
There you go. So I think that listen, my view is there's a couple of things. One, this is one of these things that we talked about actually in the context of research backed or not research backed. I don't think that the Kaged Muscle glutamine is probably 3 times more expensive than glutamine you can buy in bulk anyway. So now you take that and you triple that again, or quadruple that again, or double it again. I just don't think these things are just making money off people's. This is a ripoff. Honestly, like I'm sorry, but this is just a pure ripoff. It's taking something, trying to find another thing to put on the line, and leveraging the fact that people don't know shit. And Robert would probably gonna say that glutamine is dog shit, and high quality dog shit is still dog shit. And by the way, research shows that microencapsulated dog shit is still dog shit. It's just more bioavailable dog shit. So, right, Robert?
Can I chip in?
Go ahead, Lukasz. Yeah, go ahead, man. I'll put the ball on.
Everybody's going to take on this one.
I think it depends on the context, because you can't say it's a dog shit, because in my opinion, glutamine works, but it all comes down to a few things. First of all, the amount that you are taking daily. The second thing is what type of a function it needs to have in your body, because, for example, for a recovery and muscle building purposes, as you said, it's a fucking dog shit.
Yeah, gut health actually works.
Yeah, but for gut health, it's a perfect supplement.
Yeah.
And
but again, you got to remember, we're not talking about just glutamine here. We're talking about you're spending like almost twice as much.
I'm just right now
bioavailable.
Right now, I'm just touching the subject that TJ said, that that this is a dog shit. You need to look at it from the bigger spectrum. Glutamine has its benefits, and you need to look at it from that perspective. As far as the supplement that we are talking about, that is a fucking ripoff, and we can say straight away it's a fucking ripoff, because you need to take at least 20 grams to have the health benefits, from gut perspective, from skin to you have this glow and everything. So from this side, that's what I try to say.
I think it does. I think it came down to price for me, because when they mentioned it, 20 times faster bioavailability, I mean, cool, again, if you were selling me a 500-gram tub for $15, and then you had this, crazy fast absorption, and it was $16, I would probably buy that. And if I didn't notice anything, then I probably wouldn't buy it next month, but I would still buy it.
Yeah.
But if you're going to try and tell me you're going to charge me 82% more, I mean, shit, that's. I mean, if it was a pre-workout, maybe.
Yeah, but do you remember?
It's such an essential.
You remember the exact same battle between creatine monohydrate and creatine HCl? It was exactly the same thing, Everyone was saying, I remember, what was the Concrete? Yeah. They launched the creatine HCl, and they were claiming, it's the fastest absorbing, it's the highest, the best.
But see, that wasn't that crazy expensive. That wasn't
Yeah, I know,
that was
but
a different
still,
form.
Still, research shows that monohydrate is number one, 5 grams per day, and you are set, and you don't have to spend tons more because creatine monohydrate is fucking cheap. Like,
I think this is similar to, if you remember Performix, the Terabid brand. They did creatine and glutamine like years and years ago, and it was like $40 a tub or something. I can't remember the exact price, and then I compared that to regular creatine monohydrate, and you were paying like astronomical. And then they just this past few months they actually released a regular creatine monohydrate and glutamine powder. So like if it's a pre-workout, I might pay double if it's gonna actually kick my ass.
If you're gonna have double the effect,
like even if it was gonna have 50% of the effect, I would probably pay double.
Right.
But if we're talking essentials like protein, glutamine, creatine, and you're gonna charge me like almost double, that shit better grow like. I better wake up the next morning and feel like, I have a new body or something. Because, like, again, it takes a lot to convince me to pay extra, especially be like protein powder. If you charge me $5 extra for a protein powder for 5 pounds, I might buy it. But if you were to charge me 20 extra, no, I don't care what you put in there. I'm buying this for the protein. So it's a tricky sell, and I think the price was the important part.
But I think, Shane, here's the thing, and I think everybody is right, to be honest, because the thing is like, is glutamine overhyped? Absolutely. And I do agree with Lukasz to an extent that, there are certain benefits from glutamine. And I'm not talking specifically what benefits, just generalizing it. But if you look at marketing perspective, you're absolutely right. Charging for glutamine 82% more is absolutely ludicrous. But here's the thing. Here's the thing. And I can see a lot of brands and a lot of channels probably going to hate us after this. I mean, we already probably some of the most hated people in the industry.
Don't rope me in with this.
Well, you know what? You're guilty by association. But the thing is that you have a situation here where we know and we actually tell it like it is. Using glutamine, nothing wrong with it. There are certain benefits for certain occasions, so to speak, at certain dosages, but there is also a certain acceptable price. Now, but again, we know. Now, when you look at the words microencapsulated, that sounds so fucking good. It sounds so fucking scientific.
I want everything in my life microencapsulated.
Yeah, you see, and the thing is like people fall for that bullshit because it sounds so cool. And now we were talking about creatine. Creatine is creatine, but you're right also, Shane, when you said, the difference between creatine HCl and creatine monohydrate, it wasn't really substantial when it comes to cost. So you can use either one and you're okay. You're still getting benefits of creatine. I actually personally like, maybe it's a placebo effect, but I always like creatine anhydrous. That was just me. But the thing is like whatever creatine you use, it doesn't matter. But then go and look at MuscleTech. I'm pretty sure that MuscleTech made its millions, and I mean millions, is from selling Celtec. What was Celtec? Celtec was extremely overpriced creatine because it had, again, I think 6,700% more effect. At least that's what they claimed. And all it was 10 grams of creatine, because creatine monohydrate, that's all they used. And I don't remember exactly how much, but they were using dextrose. I mean, it's pure, cheap fucking sugar. That's all it is. It's just pure, cheap fucking sugar. And the tub was like this big, and they were selling it for fucking 20 times more than any regular creatine. It's just that shiny, label, and then shitload of ads in Muscle Mag magazine. I think it was like half of a magazine was ads of Celtec, and it looks so fucking cool. And they use so many big words that nobody fucking understood. And that was a #1 selling creatine. So in my opinion, they made absolutely ridiculous money because people were falling for that shit. So now you have the words microencapsulated. What are you going to get? You're going to get glutamine in a boring fucking container like Olmex sells that is just pure glutamine and nothing else. Or you're going to buy something with a nice shiny label with the word microencapsulated. Oh, and it's more expensive too, so it must be working better because nobody's going to come out and tell the truth like we just did. It's all about marketing, and it's all about, making money. You're not going to buy it. I'm not going to buy it. We know better. But how many people are actually going to fall for it? Shitload of people. It's just pure marketing. It's overhyped. It's not true. It's basically saying glutamine that you're paying 82% more.
I want it microencapsulated. I'm just
Yeah, and it's just I guess I'll end things with this. So glutamine is the most abundant amino acid in the body. Okay, so your body has ample stores of it. It becomes conditionally essential in times of extreme illness or injury. So if your body's covered in third-degree burns, if you get impaled by a butcher knife, or you are, you can't
so
eat
like a
food
daily
for-
thing. Daily
Yeah.
things.
If you can't eat something, if you were in some severe instance, going lift weights for 45 minutes a day, you don't fucking need any glutamine, regardless of what the supplement companies are trying to tell you. And even then, the 20 grams per day, sure, it might help with glycogen replenishment, but it's going to get broken down in the gut. There's no reason to do this. The one or two studies that have shown any benefit from glutamine supplementation were on using ridiculous exercise protocols where you're doing like 100 box jumps and depth jumps with that. Who the fuck is doing that in their workouts? I mean, you're designing a study to try to prove a point. I mean,
TJ
you're
does.
just trying to find a reason when glutamine.
Every day.
Yeah, and on this, the
110.
pilot study that Kaged Muscle is citing, they don't mention anything about the protein intake of these individuals or anything. But they try to say that glutamine supplementation improves the fractional synthetic rate of muscle protein synthesis in the body. There's not any information given on diet protocols, what their training was. All it says is physical activity. So the pilot study is weak just based off the information that's presented there. I think glutamine's a dog shit supplement. I don't care how much you dress it up. This is better.
Microencapsulated dog shit, Robert.
Microencapsulated dog shit that costs 82% more than regular dog shit.
Oh,
I mean, it's just and it's if you are a consumer advocate out there and you're trying to push this stuff as something good for consumers, so if you position yourself as a consumer advocate within the supplement industry that has the consumer's hearts at best interest, and you're promoting this as being something good, I think that's really disingenuous.
Okay, Shane.
Well, that was I thought we were going to mention that last week, but the like I said, the price was important to I think share for this time around. But the next one I have is actually for Robic, and I thought this was cool as shit, and he might like it, he might not like it. It's Black Magic Berserk Money. Now I don't know if you saw this, but it's Black
the mint
Magic
one, right?
Yeah, so the Black Magic has a this stimulant pre-workout Berserk. So pretty intense. They came out with a new version this week, special edition, limited edition. Now the tubs are covered in like money kind of thing, right? And inside one in every 10 tubs is a custom Black Magic note, and you get a 5. It gets you a T.
Willy Wonka.
And then like one of them gets you another tub. And then one of them is $1,000 worth of supplements.
Brilliant.
This is inside the tub. And it's a special edition formula, kind of like what MyBlocks does with the special edition flavors. There's 2 flavors of this. One's berry, one's mojito. I thought it was pretty damn cool, but I wanted to hear Robic's take, because obviously it's a very... it's gimmick driven with that cool money angle, but then they tied it in with the flavor, and Black Magic is already a very reputable brand with Berserk as being its flagship. Man, have it. Let me go.
You know what? No, it's a very good question, and I really appreciate it, because the thing is and that's something that you remember the very first podcast that we've ever done. You actually complimented me on the fact that I said that when I entered the supplement industry, I said, I'm the best, fuck everybody else, nobody makes good shit. And you said that that's the right attitude. And it was the right attitude, because I still feel that, we succeeded and the brand is growing, and every year we're doing better than before. And so I think that the initial push definitely worked. And you'll see where I'm getting with it. So after I talked to TJ maybe about a year or 2 ago, and he was the one who actually was, and I always give him credit for that, because he gave the push to the company with Assassin and Hooligan, and he helped us, he helped put us on a map. But one of the criticism that he had for me as a brand, and he was not the only one, but the few people pointed it out to me was that our actually, I think that it was before even, we had the current labels. Our first labels were absolute shit. Our very, very first labels were absolutely horrible. And the initial taste of our pre-workouts and, and even the protein were so-so. There was nothing nothing amazing about it. Right now, with our BCAs and Chainsaw and Enigma, I feel like among the best tasting products on the market. But I think that marketing does play a huge part in everything. I'd rather have a better product plus marketing. A lot of companies doing the opposite. They focusing on marketing, but they actually pushing dog shit. I mean, just terrible products. So I think what BZRK did, like, I looked at the formula. I know the product. It's not a bad product, even though, I always disagree with proprietary blend, and they do have proprietary blend in it, at least partially. But nevertheless, it's not a bad product. I think the fact that they did, would I do the same thing? No, I wouldn't. It's just not my style of doing the type of marketing that they did. But nevertheless, I think like doing limited editions, doing limited flavors, doing, different spins on a label in terms of like presentation. I think that doing that is definitely admirable and much needed. Again, it's just like my focus would still be, to make sure that whatever product we come in with next, if it's an updated Hooligan or something like that, it's very important for me not to go down and not be less of where we used to be. So I'm still going to focus on a product primarily. It has to be a product where people look at it and say like, wow, these guys improved the product. The rest would come with a label, with little giveaways, with limited editions, with limited, and TJ knows I'm working on something right now, as well as Robert, in terms of like making sure that we step up with marketing. We already have a good product. It's just right now, I think, to take it to the next level, marketing is very, very important. And what these guys are doing, I think it's admirable. Listen, I'm not a biggest fan of Ghost as a brand or as a product, but I will never be able to argue with their success. And their success does not have to do, again, no disrespect whatsoever, I'm just calling it as it is. They don't have the best product on the market. They definitely, by far. I don't even know if I would put them in the top 10. But when it comes to marketing, they arguably the best or one of the best brands out there, because they're really putting a lot into, limited editions and collaborations and doing different versions of labels. And I think that's very, very important to grow the brand. 2 years ago, when things kind of changed for us, with Assassin and everything that was like kind of putting us on a map, I came to kind of to a crossroad. What do I do with the brand? Do I stay where I am? Do I take a loan from the bank, or do I bring an investor or somebody like that? Because I knew that I have to just put more money into everything to grow the brand. And I met with a friend of mine who has a lot of money, and he is actually using our products. He's a huge fan of Apollon, and he's also fairly athletic. He's exercises and all that. And he saw the potential. He's an investor. And he came to me and he said, like, I really like what you guys are doing. And I see Apollon as, definitely a sleeping giant. And I would like to invest. At first I was against it. Then I kind of looked into it. We're good friends. He's a good guy. And he said to me, you do whatever you want with the brand. You do whatever you want with the formula. I'm just going to be a silent partner. I'm going to be investing money in your brand. So when I looked at it from that perspective, I said, you know what, let me think about it, maybe. So we agreed that we're going to meet again in about a week or two. And I was basically meeting him to say yes. I mean, that was, I talked to my wife and I came to a conclusion it would be a good idea and much easier than doing it myself. So my intention was to tell him, yes, I agree. Let's talk about it. But when we came to a meeting, we're still good friends. He's still our customer and everything. But the conversation actually ended up completely in a different way, where I had to turn him down because he's a smart guy and he looked into it and he goes to me, says, you know what? Tell me how much money you need. I'll write you a check. It's a done deal. There is one more thing that I wanted to discuss with you. He says, so I looked at your labels and I did a little research. And your products are fully stacked. I can only imagine that compared to, most products on the market, your products are probably very expensive to manufacture. So I told them, yeah, I said, we have expensive products. They cost on average anywhere between 25 to 50% more than other products to manufacture. He goes to me, maybe we should discuss about cutting some of the cost by maybe replacing some of the ingredients or maybe cutting them a little bit lower. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, okay, this is not where I want to go, because we have maybe very, very small customer base, especially 2 years ago. It was nowhere near where we have it today. And I said to him, but you know what? People that buy from us, they already know what we make. They specifically buy Apollon for the doses that we are using, for the ingredients that we are using. We have our own following. And those people, they're not people that are buying C4 or Muscle Farm. That's a very specific group that actually understands ingredients. As soon as they see slightly off label and they see that we're starting to cut corners, they're going to catch us immediately and we're going to lose that market. So we shook hands, we stayed friends. I turned them down and kind of like things remained as they are today. And we did it, ourselves. But the point is that as long as you don't lose your identity and as long as you don't start cutting corners, I think that's the most important thing. So doing marketing, doing fancy labels and doing gifts and giveaways and other things, collaborations, it's all good. Just don't lose your identity, in my opinion. And you just make sure that you're staying true to what your brand represents, because that's one of the reasons why, like we mentioned before, I cut out S7, because people like Robert will call me out and they will say well, man, you're full of shit because that ingredient does not belong. You saying that you have the best pre-workout on the market, yet one of your ingredient is dog shit. I don't want that, because that's my market. And the fact is, whenever Robert calls me and he asks for, for products or something like that, every time I'm saying to him, I'm honored that somebody of his stature who knows products is using, Apollon. And that's the biggest honor I can get. And that's our market, and I'm going to stay true to that. So doing marketing, I keep, even yesterday again, because DJ is helping me a lot and I'm grateful. But yesterday I told him, because I trust him and I know, that he's excellent in promoting brands and, having my back. And, TJ, I'm sorry, I'm going to just be transparent. So I'm going to give it away. We're releasing in August Hooligan and Hooligan Bare Knuckle. And he's somebody who is an expert in marketing, in my opinion, and a personal friend. I reached out to him, and what did I ask you? Do we release Hooligan or do we release both at the same time? And he basically said to me, you know what? Let me sleep on it. I'll get back to you later. So I'm definitely going to I want to make sure that we're doing the marketing right, but let's not let's not lose the identity of the brand itself. I think you have to combine both. So, marketing has its place, but in my opinion, I would like to do both quality and marketing.
Man, that went down a long road, I think, but I finally got what you mean at the end there. I was wondering, I was just thought, what did you think? Did you think it was badass? I mean,
I think it's great, and I really like the label. I really like the label too.
I was purely asking, what did you think? The money in the container, prices.
What do you think? What do you think? I mean, you see so many brands.
I just thought it was just because, again, you see special edition flavors, but these guys went what seems to be just all out on this one, and I just again, you see limited flavors, but to do the alternate formula, it's not something everyone does. And then they
didn't change the formula, right? It's the same.
No, they
formula.
did. So they did it. There's a slightly different formula. It's much like Myobox. Myobox does the same with.
Yeah, it's the same father and mother, I think.
Yeah.
It's the same approach with the limited edition. So I think it's a cool. By the way, just to wrap it up, and Robert, I don't think we'll have time for 5 questions because
Sure.
I need to actually split. But you can continue without. But I think that it's solid. I think from a marketing perspective, it's not like they prostituted anything. I think to get attention in this industry is so hard. I'd rather someone put $1,000 in my tub than a scientifically backed ingredient based on bullshit. So that's, it's marketing, right? So they got attention. You get another reason for someone to talk about your brand. It's actually, by the way, if we can spend another session talking about marketing and costs. That's actually cheap marketing. It sounds expensive. It's actually cheap marketing. So you get free publicity on some sort of a stunt like that. You get virality, people talking about it. And what does it cost you? Like 5 bottles with $1,000. That's like $5,000 and fucking 10 t-shirts.
And
Awesome.
a little bit of
Great marketing. Great marketing. I love it.
Yeah, I thought it was awesome. So
Yeah.
the next one I got, and this is for Lukasz.
But I have
Again.
to drop. So I'll leave
All right.
you alone, people. Okay, because
Have a good one.
yeah,
That's good.
take
That's
care,
good because maybe you might not like the next one anyway. So the last one, this is for Lukasz, and this is actually the Glaxon ice cream. I don't know if you heard about it, but it was at the nutrition store 2-year anniversary event, I think.
Yeah.
And so they celebrated 2 years, I believe, being in business. And Glaxon sent up I don't know if anybody heard about this, but it's called Glaxon Creams. And what it is it's an ice cream. The first functional product or first edible product really from Glaxon. And I hate using the word industry first.
Game
but
changer.
it's not really game changer, but industry first. I would say I think this might be the very first
Something
like
unique.
ice cream with focus and energy and focus ingredients. It's not like a caffeine. They've got caffeine, CDB choline, phosphatidylserine, velvet beans in there, a little bit of creatine monohydrate, which I'm not too sure why it's in there at such a small dose.
They do the same thing with their nootropic Adrenal.
I think it's for nootropic purposes. That's why they.
Yeah, so
included
like
it.
they basically
Make it
threw in
formula.
like a somewhat similar or like similar feeling blend of ingredients that you get in Adrenal, but in ice cream.
Yeah, it's
I don't
cool.
know the macros. They haven't put the macros in there, but I was like, even though I don't know when I would use this, I was curious. Like, I just thought it was damn cool. And I know Lukasz is a big fan of functional, so I was like, dude, talk about it.
Yeah, man. I think I've got the label on my screen, so I'm taking a look at it right now. But it's nice to see, this kind of formula, especially the SDP choline. You got a small dose of caffeine, some theanine, which is Robert's favorite, and you mentioned about the creatine monohydrate, which is only like 125 milligrams. And you also have Kana. You know me. I'm a big fan of functional foods, and so seeing something like this always makes me happy. Plus, you also announced on your stories this week, like 2 days ago, about our cooperation with GOT7 from Germany.
Yeah,
so
GOT7.
So
Amazing.
it was like such an awesome thing for my company as well. So just to start cooperating with these guys. As you know, they have like their spread of functional foods is just literally mind blowing, and they're like changing the game with. And I can easily say it from my perspective. I never saw anything like this. Their stuff is like blowing everything else out of the water, especially with their like treats and everything. But yeah, Glaxon is doing some cool stuff. And from my perspective, seeing something like this makes me really happy. So, but yeah, the only thing that like keeps me thinking is like when you will use this kind of thing,
I was thinking that myself. I was kind of like, I mean, I know when I'd eat a good ice cream, right? We all could eat a good, healthy protein ice cream anytime. But I was curious. Like when you would want a caffeinated ice cream, like I mean, if I woke up this morning and came on this podcast, would I grab an energy drink or a frozen treat? And I don't know if it would be the same as me scooping out ice cream, talking to you guys, as just drinking a Monster. I don't know. It's interesting. If they made it caffeine free, I reckon that would have been an idea. Like you're just general nootropic ingredients. Brain health and function and all that. I thought, that'd be cool. But I just thought the idea was just fantastic. I was like, your first functional product. It's not a shake or a bar. It's a it's a nootropic ice cream. I mean, who would have thought? I'd never seen anything like it.
Yeah, and it was,
but the thing is
only one flavor, right?
Well, I
Was it
mean,
one-
they were only beta testing, so I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if they got more. But it's just the one.
But do you think, like you just said, I think it's an excellent idea in terms of like innovation, because it is innovative. I mean, it's something different. But I think you just touched upon that, is like, do we really need it for the industry? Like, does the consumer really need it? I mean, it's something cool to have, and once in a while you will probably, enjoy it if it's enjoyable. I don't know how it tastes, but it's like, at the end of the day, when you look at supplement industry, we all need protein shakes because we just need. I mean, it's a necessity. Creatine. We just talked about glutamine being a question mark. Nootropic. I don't even know if nootropic has anything to do with bodybuilding and lifting and exercise. I think nootropic is more general. So yes, I think it has a potential to be, because I know we sell overtime to everybody. Not just people who go to the gym. So nootropic, you can probably use mass builder, you can probably use, pre-workout, intra-workout, BCAAs. All those products will always be in demand, and meaning in demand, that means you're going to be selling them, protein bars and all that. So, Lukasz probably can attest to it better than anyone, because he knows what probably the top 10 products are for Prometeus, because Prometeus sells to fucking everybody in Europe. So he can pull the data, and he can probably easily tell us what are the most in-demand products. But when you have something like ice cream, or I don't know, you can have a steak with nootropic or some shit like that. I mean, that's genius. Yeah. But the thing is like, are
seasoning.
Are you gonna fucking have it on a daily basis? It's the same thing as we discussed last show, where we talked about, I'm personally against it, as cool as it sounds. So it's kind of like I'm repeating myself right now. But when we talked about 250 million different flavors that companies release in protein, who the fuck needs them? We're still going to go to chocolate and vanilla. We're still going to go to basics. Occasionally we'll try something else. So if you own a brand and you're selling something that people will buy once in a blue moon, that shit's going to expire. You're not going to make any money off of it. It's a cool idea and it's cool for marketing, but now you're losing money. If you're doing something like BZRK, where it's like limited edition and something cool to kind of bring your attention to your brand, great. And again, I'm very, very impressed with what Glaxon does in terms of marketing. People are arguing, whether their products are good or bad. They have their own fans, and then they have critics as well. But this is not about that. It's about ice cream. I think it's the coolest, badass idea. I fucking love it. But now, if I put myself kind of in the shoes of them, like, am I gonna sell it on a daily basis? Is it something that's gonna fly off the shelves? And you probably need to refrigerate it too.
I think I reckon take out the caffeine, because I think that's one of the just something that could probably throw it off when you'd use it. But I wouldn't be surprised if it had a little bit of interest, that you could expand that functionality into several things. You could do a collagen, you could do a collagen ice cream, you could do a multivitamin ice cream. They could branch out this into several directions. But as far as I know, it's the first real like ice cream that isn't about macros. It's about active ingredients, right? Which I don't think I've ever seen before.
No, I think it's cool. I guess it's going to boil down to price and taste, but I mean, I think it's a cool thing to try out. I mean, Robbie said, "Is it needed?" No, but I mean, our whole industry isn't needed. It's called supplements for a reason. So I mean, everything is supplemental. But I mean, so I think it's definitely a cool idea. I'm curious to try it. I mean, they're only 2.5 hours away from me. I'm just going to drive down there and just go open up one of their freezers and try it one day.
Yeah,
I think it's a very cool idea.
Yeah.
Definitely can be a cool concept. Plus, they can evolve. They can try to like mix things up. For example,
they could expand it.
Next edition can be without caffeine, with added, for example, mushrooms or something like this.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of mushrooms, so to me that would be awesome. Try those kind of combination, like ice cream with mushrooms.
In there.
They could go into several directions with this. If you're able to flavor nootropics and energy with an ice cream, make it taste good. I mean, macros are important, and they haven't shared those yet. But I think if you can make an ice cream as interesting outside of just good protein, good fats. good
Shane,
shit.
do you remember? I don't know if you were in the industry back then. In 2004,
No,
Stallone came with a brand. It was
I
called
don't remember this.
it was called In Stone Stallone. So
Oh,
that
I
was
think you remember telling me about this.
yeah. So that was he came fucking guns blazing, and he probably had a lot of investors and God knows what else. So at 2004 Mr. Olympia, at the expo, they had Stallone came to the expo, and they had the biggest booth in the expo as well, and they had it was a pudding that they were
Yeah,
selling.
I just
Yeah,
Googled it.
and
First
it was
thing that come
called
up.
yeah, it was called In Stone Stallone. I think very very cool name, and they were also giving away ice cream for free. It was a protein ice cream, and it actually tasted very very good. I remember trying vanilla. It was absolutely delicious. Within a year or two, the company was done. Even though it has Stallone behind it, even though they had extremely heavy marketing behind it, and they did have ice cream and all that. But the truth is, again, how much can you sell? Because at the end of the day, you have to invest a lot of money into it. Also take into account, ice cream doesn't sell as well as it does in the summer. It doesn't sell that well in the winter, and the concept is very very good. The same goes for Species Nutrition. They have pudding. I mean, they're selling it very expensive, in my opinion. It's way overpriced, but it has isolate in it, and I've tried it. It actually does taste very, very good. Great dessert. But as far as I know, it's not very popular, because at the end of the day, you want to sell a lot. You want to sell a lot. You want to justify the investment. So does it sound cool? Extremely cool. I think it's very innovative. It's very cool. I personally love the idea. I would like to try that ice cream with Nootropic. Just the idea is fucking hot. But the question is, if I don't own the brand, then I'm gonna go elsewhere and I'm gonna buy the type of protein, and I'm gonna buy a type of pre-workout or a fat burner or whatever, and I'm probably gonna buy it on a monthly basis because I need it. Will I buy ice cream on a daily basis? And I would assume the margins are not that fucking great either. Will I buy it on a daily basis to justify for the company to make it? I don't know. But on the other hand, if the company has a lot of money or huge financial backing and all that, then I think from a marketing perspective, it's a fucking genius idea.
I think Halo Top proved that you can sell the shit out of ice cream.
Yeah.
I mean, like, damn. What they said, there was a claim that they outsold Ben and Jerry's in supermarkets or something. That was like 2 years ago.
Shit.
I'm pretty sure it was 2 or 3 years ago. And they
Yeah.
said it was out there. They outsold in it was either in supermarkets or something else. But yeah, man. I mean, even when you can be in that realm and compare yourself to them, like healthy,
Yeah.
functional ice cream.
You're doing
So
something right.
I don't know if Glaxon's going to reach the heights of them, but like again, if you could put collagen, like something for general health and wellness and even beauty, like this has just so many ways that they could go. Once they've got their manufacturing in place and that process ready, they could just twist and turn it however they like until it works, kind of thing.
Right. Cool. All right, gentlemen. Well, that puts a cap on this broadcast of the podcast, and we'll do this again. Thank you for your time as always, and
Hell
we'll
yeah.
reconvene for banter next weekend.
Yeah, of course.
I'll make sure I bring. I rushed these stores. I just went in and tried to
Oh
find.
man,
what
this
I
was
could.
great. No, you got us a bunch of really good topics. These are perfect.
I loved it.
I will make sure I bookmark some for next week.
There you go. And credit to TJ for coming up with that idea. So yeah, awesome guys.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Well, have a good one, gentlemen. I'll see you next
Awesome.
weekend.
See ya.
Cheers, guys.
Right.